So we're talking about how groups affect behavior. And one of the ways that groups affect behavior is called group polarization. Now, what that means is the enhancement of a group's prevailing inclinations through discussion within the group. That means that when you talk to people that like exactly the things that you do, you're going to reinforce each other's opinions, whether it's good or bad. It kind of doesn't really matter. For example, I was talking to a friend of mine and he was saying, hey, you know that group from Mongolia, that heavy metal group? I don't like them. And he said, everyone that he talks to also doesn't like them. Now, keep in mind, my friend is a 40-year-old man and he's talking to other 40-year-old men who all grew up listening to Iron Maiden. So when he says, well, everyone that I talk to does not like this band from Mongolia, they're called The Who, I think to myself, well, I know who you're talking to. You're talking to men that are your age who grew up listening to the same things that you did. You haven't spoken with 20-year-olds, you haven't spoken with 30-year-olds, and you haven't spoken with teenagers. So when you like something, and you talk to people who also like it, you're going to reinforce the opinions that you all have. There isn't as much diversity, and that's what happens with group polarization. When you talk to people that are different from you, you'll get different opinions, different ideas, which is why diversity is such an important concept, because you can get caught with a group polarization. Here's a picture, and people, it says here, like minds network in the blog sphere. People that are like a certain type of blog, it says blue liberal blogs, link mostly to other, just like people that are conservative. By connecting the magnifying inclinations of like-minded people, the internet can be very, very bad, but also very, very good. Group polarization. Another thing that can happen when we get into groups is called social loafing. The tendency for people in group to exert less effort. So once again, when we're in a group, we feel less responsible. And many people, many students don't like doing group work, because what happens is they'll notice that maybe some of the other students aren't doing their part of the job because, well, there's a group here and maybe I can relax a little bit. I'm not responsible. There are 3 other people in the group. So social loafing can occur, which is one of the reasons many students don't like doing group work, because what happens is they already know from past experience one of the students will start doing social loafing. Now, let's talk about the size of a group. The bigger the group, do you think that people feel more responsible or less responsible? Well, based on the definition of social loafing, one of the things we need to keep in mind is, go ahead and draw this arrow. You'll need to know this. You need to know that the bigger the group, the less responsible people feel. So whenever there is a large group, people actually feel less responsible. I went to go see this movie. It's called Hostel. It's a horror movie. And I remember that the audio stopped. You couldn't hear anything. And I thought, well, somebody's going to go tell that the movie has no audio. 2 minutes went by, and then 4 minutes went by. After that, 6 minutes went by, and then 8 minutes went by. Nobody got up to go tell. How come nobody stood up? Everyone was thinking the same thing. Well, somebody will go. Nobody ended up going. And then I got up and I went to go tell. So now I know when I'm in a theater, I'm going to have to go first because everyone is thinking the same thing. Let's talk about the bystander effect. The more people around, the less likely people will help. If someone falls down in a very busy street, many people will just keep on going because they'll think, well, why should I help? I don't know anything about medicine. I'm not in the medical field, and I'm on my way to work. And there's so many people, well, somebody else will help this individual. The problem is, everyone thinks the same thing. But once again, if you go first, if you decide to break the chain, and if you go first, other people will follow. Finally, let's write down de-individuation. And that's when responsibility is generated by the group, not you. If you were walking alone on the street and this person was collapsed and there was nobody around, you would feel more responsible. But since there's so many people on the street, you feel less responsible. Why do people rob stores when there's looting and dozens of people are going into the store and they're taking things? And then you think, look at all of those people take things. Why do they do that? Well, because they don't feel responsible. They think, well, I'm not the one that started looting. I'm not the one that started all of this. They were already stealing. So it's not really me who caused this. I'm just going along. Responsibility is not generated by me, but by the entire group. Go over this presentation to help remember the definitions. I hope you write them down as well. Make sure you're familiar with all of the terms and are prepared for the next exam. Thanks for listening.